Stay back, human. You don't know what you're dealing with.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you are human, are you not?
I mean, I've got a heartbeat, so I assume so, yes?
There aren't many creatures that have heartbeats. Those that live under the ground.
I feel like I'm having an existential crisis
fairies!
here.
There are fairies everywhere, Donald.
Okay.
They're everywhere.
Okay.
Fairies, elves, pixies.
Hannah, are you
dwarves.
okay? Hannah?
I'm good.
Put the coffee down. It'll be okay.
Yeah, it's all cool. I mean, I thought I saw one. Over by the, the big oak tree, but maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe it was just a really big, hairless squirrel. I don't know.
Hannah, there's not an oak tree around here.
Well,
okay.
Shit.
Okay, production, can you hit the music while, we just talk this down a little bit?
Uh-huh. I swear, I saw a fairy.
Okay, it's okay. Here, play the music.
These things get stupider and stupider every time.
Although honestly, your descent into insanity sometimes always makes me smile. They're always so off the wall fantastic.
Off the wall.
They're so great.
It's what I go for.
Yeah. Anyway, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the General Geekery Podcast.
Woo!
This is the podcast where we love to geek out about all that we love to geek out about, with no remorse.
No regrets.
And with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
We actually matched pretty close that time.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
Well,
that was a good high five, too.
That really was, too.
Hell yeah.
You can see it spike up right there.
Yep. You're going to have to do something about that in post. Anyway, not
I
my problem.
I don't think it'll break our headphone users' ears too much.
Oh, a moment of silence for headphone users.
Birds, we said a moment of silence.
Those birds have no respect.
Every time. As always, it is I, your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, and streamer by night, Donald Kaczynski. And joining me, as always, she is the dice slinger extraordinaire, artiste magnificent, and,
Yeah, we still have yet to think of my,
We need the third. We
need a third thing. Master of Dystopias.
Master of Dystopia.
Just for today.
Hannah Kubiak, we are your hosts for this podcast. Welcome back, all you returning listeners, and as well as any new listeners that have hopped on. Welcome. We geek out about all that we love to geek out about, and we bring a different topic to each and every episode. Speaking of which, Hannah, what did you bring to the table today?
Well, we are going to be talking about, we're going to start with talking about a movie, but mostly we're going to be talking about a series of books. We are talking about Artemis Fowl.
Oh, man.
This book series was my jam when I was a kid. When I was like in middle school, high school. It was so my sense of humor. I loved the characters and the storylines, how there's all this stuff about like time stops and paradoxes and going to different dimensions and all of this. But okay, anyway, I think maybe we should I'll give a little introduction of what this story is about. So
go right ahead.
The world, it's Earth, like modern day Earth, but fairy kind has been driven underground by mankind and live in secret, and they've constructed themselves a livable environment where magic and technology work hand in hand. Artemis Fowl is a criminal mastermind from Ireland who seeks to restore his family's fortune by kidnapping a fairy in exchange for fairy gold.
God, I love the name Artemis.
I do too, and the kicker here, Artemis, is he's basically in charge of his entire family estate, family empire, family business. He's 12 years old.
As one is often wont to do in
Yes.
fantasy stories.
Yes, and he is a criminal, strategic mastermind.
So basically a child version of Lupin the Third, but set in fairy tale. Got it.
Who's Lupin the Third?
It's an anime thing.
Okay.
It's basically a descendant of the gentleman thief Arsène Lupin.
Okay. Wait a minute. Is that from Persona?
Okay, so Arsène Lupin is basically a gentleman thief from fiction, and
But no, do they refer to him?
yes.
Okay, good.
Yes,
okay.
they do.
Ha my knowledge.
Go check out our Persona 5
My
Royal
power
and
grows day by day. Okay, so Okay, what do you want to hear about first? Books or movie?
I feel like we should talk about the books before we get into like
Perfect, because then you'll
stuff
know
about the movie.
why I feel the way that I feel.
No, don't worry. So some background for me with Artemis Fowl. Like, I have read, like, the first book or two back when I was a young lad.
Yeah, a young lad. When you were just a young lad.
When I was just a young lad growing up in...
He was a young warthog.
When I was a young warthog!
Very nice.
Thanks. But when I was but a wee kid growing up in elementary school, I actually read like the first book or two. I got it from my library, and I was reading through it because I was encouraged to read throughout that summer because I had grown. I was a little shit, for lack of a better term.
You were a little shit.
I was but a wee little shit at the time.
Who wasn't?
So I had to read a lot of books for the summer, and Artemis Fowl was the one that I ended up reading. And I remember really liking it. I just never had the chance to go back and finish the series. I really should.
Yeah. Well, I own all of them. I brought 4 of them.
Oh my god.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, should I bring them all? And I was like, no, I have other places I'm going today before this. I'll just bring the ones that I want to possibly read from. Oh shoot!
It'll make
for one of them.
Oh no!
Damn it!
It'll make for a good social media post.
Yep. Okay, so the books. So the beginning. I'm just gonna get out book 1 because I brought that. The beginning. This is book 1. It's just called Artemis Fowl.
It's so shiny.
It's so shiny. Yes. So it starts with Artemis and his basically his bodyguard, butler, who these families have kind of been had a master servant relationship for years and years, kind of like Igor and Dr. Frankenstein. They're like, oh, my great grandfather used to work for your great grandfather. It's that kind of deal where it's sort of like
Call it a hunch.
Ta-ta. Walk this way. But yeah, so, and this kid, Artemis Fowl, speaking of little shits, such a little shit. Like, he's 12 years old, and he's smarter than everyone he encounters, and he's super cocky and just does not mind like grinding people into the dust intellectually.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like when you're 12 to 14 years old, who doesn't believe when they're 12, 14 years old that they're just the hottest shit around?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Like, I'm the shit. Yeah. But I love the description of this guy, like right away. They've gone to Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay.
On a mission. They're trying to find the fairy book, which will tell them how to interact with the fairy race and steal some of their gold. Ultimately, that's the plan, is to restore the family fortune.
One does not simply communicate with fairies.
No, one has to. I had a brain fart there. A little time skip.
Note to self. One does not simply memes from Lord of the Rings confuse Hannah.
Yes, one does not simply...
Sorry.
Anyway, here we go. So, sun did not suit Artemis. He did not look well in it. Long hours indoors in front of a computer screen had bleached the glow from his skin. He was white as a vampire and almost as testy in the light of day.
Sounds like your average Irishman and Scotsman.
Yeah. I was like, that. I was like, sounds like me. I am a professional sedentary being, so. They're meeting this contact, and the guy comes over. This is great. This person, a waiter, scurried to their table. More tea, sirs? He asked, head bobbing furiously. Artemis sighed. Spare me the theatrics and sit down. The waiter turned instinctively to Butler, who was, after all, the adult. But, sir, I am the waiter. Artemis tapped the table for attention. You are wearing handmade loafers, a silk shirt, and 3 gold signet rings. Your English has a tinge of Oxford about it, and your nails have the soft sheen of the recently manicured. You are no waiter. You are our contact, and you have adopted this pathetic disguise to discreetly check for weaponry.
What in the name of Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, I know! It's like Sherlock Holmes, but really, but 12. Yeah.
And Irish.
And Irish, yes.
Which makes it better.
The guy's name is Nguyen? Nguyen? This name, this Asian name, I never know how to pronounce it. Is it Nguyen?
Nguyen.
Nguyen?
Yeah,
Nguyen.
Nguyen. Okay. Generally, just from my experience, Nguyen.
Okay. I know that I learned how to pronounce it once because I watched the first episode of BoJack Horseman. I forgot.
we need to do an episode on that series one of these days. But
Right.
Anyway, back to Artemis.
Right. Yes. So, Nguyen?
Yes.
Nguyen's shoulders sagged. It is true. Amazing. Hardly. A ragged apron does not a waiter make. Let me fill you in on the weapons status, continued Artemis. I am unarmed, but Butler here, my, butler, has a Sig Sauer in his shoulder holster, 2 strike-throwing knives in his boots, a Derringer 2-shot up his sleeve, a garroting wire in his watch, and 3 stun grenades concealed in various pockets. Anything else, Butler? The Kosh, sir.
He be packing heat.
Yeah. Oh, yes, and a good old ball-bearing Kosh stuffed down his shirt. Don't be alarmed. The weapons will not be used on you. No, Butler could kill you 100 different ways without the use of his weapons, though I'm sure one would be quite sufficient. Nguyen?
Yep.
Nguyen was by now thoroughly spooked. Artemis generally had that effect on people. A pale adolescent speaking with the authority and vocabulary of a powerful adult.
Show me that powerful adult in this day and age that would speak with that kind of vocabulary.
Yeah, no. So that's the kid we're dealing with here.
Oh my god, I love it.
And yeah, the thing that makes this character so compelling is that he's not a normal 12-year-old.
Not at all.
Yeah. The movie made him too normal, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. He's kind of like a dour, middle-aged man in a kid's body. So there's like a disconnect, kind of.
So basically like Sherlock Holmes, only minus the drug use.
Yeah. I actually, nowadays, kind of envision Five from the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see
that. He's sort of got the intellect and the cockiness and the irritability of Five, pretty much. Let's see, where did I go? Oh, yeah. So, I think I've spoken about this before. When you're making a character, if you want that character to be likable in any way, they have to have 2 of 3 qualities.
Okay.
There have to be 2 of these 3 things. They have to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Good at what they do.
Right.
It's like a skilled person.
Yeah, not on the lawful good side.
Yeah.
We're not talking like a D&D alignment like that.
No. Yeah, they have to be either a good person, a morally good person.
Okay.
Or they are good at what they do, they're a skilled person, or they are a funny person. So, of those 3, what would you say are the 2 that we've got for Artemis here?
Well, funny is definitely laid down pat.
He has a sense of humor. It's just often at other people's expenses.
Morally good is questionable. Very questionable considering the fact that him and his butler are packing heat.
Yeah, well, at the beginning here, yeah, he's just a little shit, a greedy slime ball, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in it for the gold for this entire book, the first one.
But you can tell that he is actually really good at what he does. Like, the use of vocabulary in novelization is super important, especially when talking in for character speech. And for for this presentation of a 12-year-old boy who is using vocabulary well beyond his years.
Right, yeah.
In such a...
Spare me the theatrics.
in such a dramatic, verbose manner.
Yeah.
That both communicates his intellect, but also at the same time his snide remark and I would just say it's not snobbiness, just snarkiness.
Snarkiness, yeah.
It's basically the kind of sarcastic kind of tone that a lot of people in our generation obviously would adopt as like as like a kind of jargon.
Yeah. So very snarky, yeah. Very confident in his own abilities. So yeah, let's talk about this character a little bit. So yeah, make no mistake, the kid is in charge. The kid calls the shots. So like you've got Butler, who's like over 6.5 feet tall and packing heat, and then there's this kid who's like, I'm unarmed, but Butler has all this stuff, and it's because like, yeah, he's the mastermind. Butler works for him. It isn't often apparent until he opens his mouth that he's the one who's in charge, and people often underestimate him because of that, which is really fun.
Underestimating the one that seems not in power until the hand is shown.
Yep.
Straight flush.
Yep. Okay, and a little bit about his family. So this is, at first glance, you kind of look at this character and you're kind of like, all right, he's just a snobby rich asshole. But this character is actually a very broken person. Like, his dad disappeared on an expedition in the Arctic 2 years previously, and he kind of had to take over everything because his mother went insane with grief and has sequestered herself in her room with the shades drawn and everything. She's just like a crazy person. She thinks that there's like creatures crawling into her brain and stuff. And so yeah, he's a child left to run the family crime empire, and he's got a very strong facade that really only breaks down a little bit when he goes to see his mother and see how she's doing. So if you were a bit of a know-it-all asshole to begin with, the way he is now probably actually makes sense.
Right, because if you present a know-it-all personality like that as either one of two situations. One, the character comes from a broken background in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Or two, the person is incredibly sociopathic. Generally, that's like one of the two ways like it goes.
Yeah, and I feel like you'd like to think the latter of him initially.
Yeah, but considering that this is a main character, just saying, "Oh, the kid's a sociopath," like that's kind of just like a bland. Here's the explanation.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to explore it.
And also, sociopaths and psychopaths, as we know from talking about them, they do not change.
Not at all.
No, but this character changes. And I think it's a really great character arc. Like the series is 8 books, and the whole series is like kind of a coming of age story. Like really coming of age, because like just because you're running a criminal empire does not mean that you're an adult.
Right.
And like, to a certain extent, growing up is not so much about being powerful as it is about
overcoming hardships.
Yeah, and doing the right thing, I feel like.
Right.
Like at the beginning here, he's very selfish, right? And he's just basically just in it for the money, like you're like any old mercenary, you know. And yeah, so he's got this like, throughout the series, we see him like mature from this selfish, cold criminal into a selfless but no less brilliant hero. So he learns how to have friends instead of just using people as tools to manipulate. And his priorities change from like getting the best of the world. It changes to like getting the best for the world, like using his abilities to benefit others as well. So there's a definite change that his character goes through as he meets the fairy that he kidnapped, actually, Holly Short. They become friends as the story goes on. And not immediately. Like, it's really cool, because, like, I would say maybe the first 4 books, it's kind of like he's the antagonist of all of the people who live in the lower elements. That's where the fairies live. Right. He's like their antagonist. And then as it keeps on going, then they reluctantly ask for his help with various things. So he's kind of like a consultant, maybe.
Consultant, anti-hero.
Yeah, consultant, anti-hero. And then as it keeps on going, they go from sort of, instead of having this sort of, what's the word? It's not unfriendly. It's just like a...
Antagonistic?
Yeah, they're kind of antagonistic. It's like, well, we need you. We need your mind. So come here, and we'll give you, we'll pay you or whatever, you know. And then by the end, it's sort of like he's like become good friends with Holly and all these other people, and he ends up like risking a lot and giving up a lot to like save her life and save other people's lives. And that's why I think that this is a story about growing up. It's a story about this selfish little kid growing up into a like selfless man, right. Young man, and I just really enjoy that. And like he never stops being like snarky and all of that, and he never stops being, you know, like kind of cocky, but what he's focusing on is different. Like his personality is the same, but what he's focusing on is different. It's not about money anymore, you know.
Right, because like part of like the drawing in when you introduce a character that is funny like that, it's how do you keep that humor going but still showcase the character growing in their own arc.
Yeah, and I love this character because it's like, well, any interesting character puts up a facade or a mask. Right. Like, he doesn't want to be thought of as a kid. Like, clearly.
Well, I mean, he's being put in charge of, like, all this, like, multi-million-dollar operation.
So, yeah, first of all, he probably could have had a more, despite his intelligence and his ambition, he probably could have had a more, more of a childhood, you know. But yeah, because of the tragedy in his family, he had to step up. And unfortunately for him, maybe, he was capable of it. And that was what his childhood became, was running the family crime empire. Think here. What you doing?
Just bringing up the material just so I know.
Bringing up your notes.
Yeah, bringing up the notes just so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What do you remember from reading these books? Because maybe I can clarify some things for you. Because you're like somebody who has sort of read some of these a long time ago and hasn't necessarily
I'm
much.
Yeah, I'm trying to like read like the quick notes that I made on it and trying to bring back into my brain some of that lost spark. And honestly, Artemis was like the main like thing that always kept me going throughout everything.
Yeah.
And it was seeing him overcome everything that he had.
I just think it's really, really fascinating when you can take a character that is, like a character that is an antagonist at the beginning, and then, like, have us following them through their journey into becoming like a more mature, well-rounded person, I suppose.
Right.
Because this book, the first book, just called Artemis Fowl, it's kind of like Die Hard in a certain sense, and I'll tell you why. Because
okay, I can't wait to see. I gotta hear this.
I love comparing movies to each other, or books and whatnot.
All right,
so,
I'm ready.
Okay, so both of these, they kind of have a let's break into a place kind of vibe going. And so in Die Hard, Die Hard is about the Bruce Willis character, John McClane. He's at this Christmas party in LA, and it's in this skyscraper, Nakatomi Plaza, and these terrorists, or thieves actually, take over the building, hold people hostage, and basically go to plunder the safe for all of this stuff. And Bruce Willis is there. When everybody else gets rounded up from the party and gets taken hostage, he actually escapes, and the whole time he's like in the building, climbing through elevator shafts, like in stairwells, in like under construction floors and stuff, just like picking off these people. So a lot of the time when you're writing a story, you write it from the perspective of the protagonist.
Right.
But in Die Hard, the Bruce Willis character is actually the antagonist, because the people who actually have a goal is Hans Gruber and his people. Their goal is to break into the safe and escape and go for the rest of their life live on a beach making 20%. And Bruce Willis is the antagonist in that, because he's just trying to like foil their plan. Basically, he has his own reasons for doing that, like to save his wife and stuff.
True, but
his main goal is sabotage. You're scheming on a thing that's sabotage. So in Artemis Fowl,
okay,
he's sort of painted as the antagonist as well, kind of like it's because the story is it's a rescue mission where he's taken Holly prisoner, and he has all sorts of demands and stuff about what to return her. He wants such and such an amount of gold and stuff. They try all sorts of other ways of getting her back, and he basically just, every time they attempt something, he shuts it down. All like sitting in his sort of like man in the high castle like room with all his screens and stuff, and
a high-tech throne room.
High-tech throne room. Like he literally barely moves at all through this whole thing. He's just there, and he's just all of their schemes that they throw out, and he's just like nope, I've thought of that, and this is why you can't do it. Boom. What about this? Oh yes, that. No. Boom. Like they're trying to infiltrate his manner, and it just isn't working. So that's really interesting, because yeah, initially in kidnapping the fairy and stuff, he does instigate all of the events. But then he's more passive throughout the rest of it, and just sort of watching things happen, like minimal effort, I guess.
Right.
Physically, like, you know, he's like, well, I here am, and I'm unarmed because I don't need to be armed because I have my brain, and I have all my little chess pieces moving around. So I like that. I think it's interesting. I like when sort of common tropes are sort of turned on their heads, and we see things from a different perspective.
Subversion.
Yeah,
Gotta love it.
Yeah. So this is it's a book about the fairy people doing this rescue mission, and he's actually the enemy, which is funny, I feel like.
I'm just imagining right now, like, how different the entire book series would be if it, just like John McClane in Die Hard, yes, I am going to say it, if Artemis Fowl just said, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. The tone would be totally different, and you couldn't market it as a children's novel, but still.
No. I'm trying to figure out what his... He does say something like that.
She's pulling out all of the reading material to find it.
Mm-hmm. This last book actually came out when I was in college. So I remember being home from school and reading it. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I look at it this way. The book series did start at like turn of the 21st century, like 2001, 2002, something like that. So I mean, it's newer compared to like some other book series that we've talked about on this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's technically newer or older than Redwall, though. That's a good question.
It's newer.
Yeah, it would be.
Redwall was in like the 90s.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Yes.
Me misremembering on my own history.
Yeah, misremembering. Yeah. I can't find it.
It was a valiant attempt.
Yeah.
A very valiant attempt.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I just did a lot of talking really fast just there.
I mean, isn't that what we usually do on the podcast?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time I do a lot more listening, but
So literally the person who wrote the series Ian Colfer, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He literally described the series as Die Hard with fairies.
What?
Yes!
I did not know that! Oh my gosh! I'm amazing!
I literally saw it on Wikipedia. The quote isn't right here. Literally, in like the first sentence of Critical Reception, described it as Die Hard. The first book as Die Hard with fairies.
Yep, there you go. If you learn anything from this, oh gosh,
that's amazing! Like
I am so happy. I am so.
She
happy.
made this connection without even knowing about it. It's like, oh my god, it's confirmed by the author.
Confirmed by the author. Awesome.
God, that's amazing.
That's awesome. Oh, it was in this one. That's why. Oh.
But yeah, it's a fairly popular series, and it's a really good one.
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm actually considering rereading it now because I think I read it last. I think I read it last summer. Yeah.
And so from that, and I know you said you wanted to touch up on earlier. We've been putting it off.
Right! I totally forgot we were doing that.
Shit, we're gonna have to.
Yeah. Did you have you seen the movie?
Only bits and pieces of it. I know the story.
Just don't.
I know the story behind the development hell of this movie because this movie, like, there have been plans to do this movie like as far back as like when the first book was released.
Yeah.
Like,
there have been like plans, like I've heard several times, like, oh my gosh, they're gonna make a movie out of Artemis Fowl, and then it never happens. And somehow Kenneth Branagh is in charge of it. I'm not
Yep. Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, he was hired on to direct the film. The screen. Robert De Niro somehow signed on as one of the executive producers of the project.
Judi Dench is in it, which I want to talk about.
Oh man.
Okay, I found Artemis's Yippee-ki-yay.
Okay, what is it?
So he's talking to a demon. He's near the end of one of the later books.
Okay.
Maybe I'll keep you. Abbott chuckled and prodded Artemis's back with his sword. It'd be nice to have a pet human around. I could teach you tricks. I have a trick for you, said Artemis, and he fired a single blast from the gun. And something really cool happens. But I'm not going to ruin it for you. So I have a trick for you. That's it.
Fair enough.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the movie. Okay.
Yeah,
let me just read some of the things I was writing down as I was watching it.
I was intrigued by like the movie's announcement, like when I first like saw trailers. So I'm like, okay, Artemis Fowl. I remember liking this as a kid. Mm-hmm. I still have not seen it all the way through, but from what I saw, I'm like,
the trailer made me nervous.
No.
The trailer made me nervous.
Film adaptations of books are always very, very iffy. I mean, look at the Percy Jackson series.
Holy crap! Yeah,
that is its own ball of wax.
Yeah, I feel like this would be good as a mini series, honestly.
Like bad novel to film adaptations.
No, I feel like this would, like Artemis Fowl, I feel like would be a good mini series.
Oh,
if anyone ever wants to.
Like an Amazon or like, okay, gotcha.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
kind of like how Good Omens was.
I mean, considering like how many like arcs and like twists and turns like go through, like especially like the first book.
Yeah.
It would work a lot better as a miniseries.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much exploration that you can do in a movie that ranges from like an hour and a half to 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Let's see. What's some things? The first thing I wrote. Okay, I'm not sold, but I'm not exactly amazed either. Lol, just noticed those both say I'm not liking it.
Oh.
The next one says, surfing, huh? And I take issue with that, because the first time we see young Artemis, he's down at the sea, going surfing.
I question that.
I'm like, what the hell? What? This is a sedentary being to the max.
Okay.
Let me read you something.
Okay. Oh, Hannah's going off, guys. Hannah's going off. I can see the blood rush to her face.
Going off. All right. All right. So, they're chasing a train.
Yeah.
All right. Artemis raced after her as fast as his loafered feet could go. This was not for him. Running and sweating. Combat, for heaven's sake. He was no soldier. He was a planner, a mastermind. The hurly-burly of actual conflict was best left to Butler and people like him. But his manservant wasn't here to take care of the physical tasks this time. Let's see. Now they're going to jump onto the train. He really did try, but the toe of his loafer snagged on a sleeper. He stumbled forward, pinwheeling for balance. A painful death came rushing up to meet him. 2 left feet, muttered Holly, grabbing her least favorite mud boy by the collar. So he's really, really capable when he's in his little control room, but then he has to go out and actually do something that requires physical exertion, and it's not good. He has a dex of 6, so...
And then here he is surfing.
And later, it's not skateboarding, it's like one of those mopeds without the handle. Anyway.
Yeah,
whatever.
They made him so generic.
Yeah, okay, so this character, you know how I said before that the thing that I like about this character is just how odd he is?
Yes.
This one, he's like a normal kid.
In terms of the context of, like, modern society.
Yeah, he's a normal kid. I mean, he's still super intelligent and stuff, but
he doesn't have, like, the good writing or snarkiness
that
made the novelization of him so engaging.
Yeah. He's just... Yeah. And one thing I wrote, this kid is way too emotional. Like, there was that facade I was talking about. There wasn't one. Really.
Right.
And like I don't like to judge child actors too harshly, because I know that it often has to do with the director not being very good at directing children.
Right, and the kids are still learning.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is a really challenging role as well.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, it is.
It's so challenging. And, the mulch was okay. I chuckled when he unhinged his jaw.
When that is a chuckle-worthy highlight, oh man, you know,
it was
something's
more
wrong.
like oh no.
Oh jeez.
Oh gosh, yeah. There were just a lot of different like little changes that I didn't think were necessary. Like this is a good book. This is Die Hard with fairies. It's not a long book. You do not need to add or take away things from it. But for some reason, there was this whole other plot involved with this thing called the Aculos, which was like a magical item that Artemis's father had stolen somehow and was keeping it in one of the vaults, and then his father was involved too and like had taught him about fairies and all this stuff, but his father actually didn't do that. Artemis kind of stumbled upon that on his own.
Right.
Possibly through the residual effects of time travel and memory wiping that was in his brain,
right.
Which we can go into later, maybe. Anyway, if you experience something when you're like 10 years old and then it gets wiped from your brain, there's still some residue there of like, I was having a weird dream. It was about fairies. Oh well.
Yeah.
But where was I? I was having a dream about fairies.
You went ranting on like the small little differences between the.
Yes. So yeah, his father was there. His father had done all of this research about the fairies and stuff. So really, Artemis didn't really do very much to figure out all this stuff. Like in the book, he like goes to Ho Chi Minh City. He goes on all these places looking for this information that's going to help him acquire some fairy gold and reinstate his family's fortune. In the movie, it was more like a bat cave moment where
I mean, how else can you describe it?
Like they get a call from some mysterious entity who is from the fairy world, who has his father hostage. In order to get him back, they want the Aculos, but he doesn't know where it is. And then his butler, is basically like, well, it's time to tell you all the things your father never told you. Let's go downstairs to the secret room.
Oh, Jesus.
And yeah, so Artemis didn't have as much, what's the word? Agency.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really make very many decisions. It was more like, I have to do this because of this, and I have to do this, like...
There was no back work.
Yeah, it was more like he was responding to, a threat as opposed to actually being the threat, like he was in the book.
He was responding to the stimulus as opposed to inducing the stimulus.
Yes, exactly. So it wasn't the movie wasn't Die Hard with fairies.
It was just something that needs to be burned.
It was. Yeah. It was.
I'm partially glad that COVID did not put this film in theaters.
Yeah, I think the movie was... Yeah, it wasn't Die Hard with fairies. It was Batman with fairies. Like young Batman. You know, like, have you ever seen Gotham?
Yes, I have, but not even Batman. We're not even like, because Batman's good. We're talking like Joel Schumacher, Batman and Robin kind of bad, only minus the overtly weird stuff. For those that understand the movie, you'll know where I'm coming from.
I have no idea. That's okay. I don't know if I want to know.
There's no badass or bat nipples on a costume. It was an entire thing.
Whoa! Maybe I do want to see that. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't need a whole new plot. Why not just make the movie of the book? Like, don't try and improve it.
Well, they make that make those adjustments to so many different like film adaptations of like novelizations. Percy Jackson was another book series when it was adapted to film that happened with. My brother is still not forgiven the film industry for that.
Yeah.
Maze Runner was another one that I heard. There were very few adaptations when doing the Harry Potter series, but still adaptations nonetheless.
Yeah, like
Lord of the Rings, even though we love the films,
there are things you can definitely say, like, I have some qualms about that.
Arwen. The Arwen side plot is just like, what? Where did this come from?
The side plot? You mean, like, everything...
everything involving, like, the Ewan Star, and
yeah.
It's just like...
Oh, okay.
How? Why? Like...
I feel like...
What details is there?
I feel like there's something in the book about it that's very subtle.
Not to my knowledge, but then again, who knows?
Okay.
Maybe I'm just having a brain fart.
I'll have to read it. I'll have to read it when they were in Rivendell again. Just okay. Yeah. What else did I notice? Commander Root, who's a gruff, cigar-smoking commander, was played by Judi Dench. And for some reason, she had to talk like she had a frog in her throat the whole time.
Oh no!
And like,
not Dame Dench.
And yeah, she did what she could with what she had, but I wonder why she agreed to be in this movie. I don't know if it was like some trying to get more women into the movie, which I don't think was necessary because this book actually does pass the what's it called, Rorschach test? Rorschach?
I think.
Yeah, where it's women talking to each other. Yeah, because there's a couple of women in here. I didn't think that was necessary.
Now, here's the big question about that, though. Was it worse than her role? Was it worse than her performance? Was her appearance in Artemis Fowl worse than her appearance in Cats?
I actually have not seen Cats.
May God have mercy on our souls if we ever watch it.
That should be a live episode.
That really needs to be.
There should be that should be a live episode and a drinking game.
Oh, good God. Ugh.
Oh, man.
I'm scared for when that happens.
Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. Basically, the movie, it disappointed me. It did not tarnish my enjoyment of the books. I was able to separate them to a certain degree, which I'm usually pretty good at doing.
Nice.
Where, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, no, this isn't even the same.
Right.
As opposed to saying, they're telling the same story, but they're doing it badly. No, it was different. So...
And I think that's the correct mindset that you have to put yourself into, like, when you're seeing a film that is adapted from a source material. Just because the film adaptation is bad doesn't mean, oh, now the original source material is ruined for me forever.
Yeah, no, that's not... that's not the way that I responded to it at all.
Because...
Like, that happened with Ender's Game as well. That movie was...
Yeah.
It was disappointing. And Ender's Game is another of my favorite books, as you know.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, okay. I mean, I still enjoy the book, and that wasn't that great,
Exactly. Just because a film adaptation, like, fails, for lack of a better term, doesn't mean that you should overlook the book. Another case is, one of mine, when the film adaptation of the novel The Giver was released. Yes. I had so many qualms about that, because The Giver was one of my favorite books when I grew up. But just because I did not agree with the live-action adaptation and all of the ridiculous things I saw with it, I'm like, the book is still great, though. Yeah.
But the adaptations do not sully the source material. I agree.
If you learn anything from our podcast, let it be that.
Let it be that.
Let it be that. Because that is an important lesson that should honestly be solidified.
And read these books. And when I'm a famous filmmaker, I will do it right. You heard it here.
And I'll be by her corner, helping her, doing whatever.
Yeah. Commander Root will be a man. Angeline will be alive. Mulch will be a normal dwarf size as opposed to arbitrarily being Dwarfus Giganticus.
If we had to do Commander Root, do you think Idris Elba would be a good pick?
Actually, maybe.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
I was thinking about that. I've been thinking about that for days. I'm like, okay, who would I cast?
All right, let me bring up the cast list right now. Like, we're going to put this on the spot. If we had to recast this film...
Yeah. Oh, man.
Let's see.
I'm thinking that... Well, you mean like this year? Like now? Because honestly, I would say that probably the actor who would play Artemis has not been in anything yet. Because he's too young.
Fair. Like it's hard to do it for like Artemis just because like you need a specific age for like that actor.
Like the actor who played him in the movie, like he had been in like one thing before this.
Right, exactly.
So
it's tough to judge on that. But let's look at some other stuff. All right. So who would you say would be good for Mulch? Because Josh Gad was Mulch.
Josh Gad, yeah.
You would keep that?
No, I mean, well, he was the best part of it, I think. Even though for some reason they decided that he wasn't like normal dwarf size. I don't know why they did that. Should have just cast a little person. Peter Dinklage? No, I'm just kidding.
I
don't know. Like, part of me would. I mean, I wouldn't want to just like. I wouldn't want to cater to Peter Dinklage like that.
No, wait, hold on,
just because the character is a dwarf doesn't mean that Peter Dinklage should play him. But
honestly, I could see maybe Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis.
He was Flitwick from Harry Potter.
Oh,
he was Flitwick in Grip Hook. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, I feel like we would need somebody a little bit more gruff, perhaps.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll come back to that one.
Yeah, that is a thinker.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. How about Butler?
Butler? Oh goodness. Oh. I wish that I had thought about this beforehand, honestly. Yeah. We might have to cut a little bit while we figure this out.
I'll put in the Jeopardy theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Okay.
Future Donald, if you're editing this, put the Jeopardy theme in now.
That's the Jason Bourne theme. Ah, man. Maybe we should make it an extra.
Yeah, we should definitely make this an extra.
If we cast Artemis Fowl, yeah.
Yeah, that should be another thing, just like a random thing, like General Geekery recast for films. Mm-hmm. Try to make bad films good by recasting.
Yep.
Just as like a fun thing, just to experiment.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I think I have such a precise image in my mind of most of these characters, and I have so much trouble, diverging from that.
That is a definite It's not exactly a gripe or like a negative, but it's a thing that a lot of readers have, is that the mental image that appears in your mind with any kind of like fantasy reading, like you get the image in your mind of like how the world is built, how the characters are structured, how they appear, and how they go about their business based on the words that you are reading on the page. So trying to coalesce that into like an actual thought into words or paper when you're trying to explain something it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the only record that you have of the existence of that kind of like formation is all in your mind palace.
Yeah. In your mind. It's all in my mind. In my mind palace.
It's all in your mind, Hannah. You got to harness the power of the mind palace to bring that inner reality into the true reality.
Right. I think what we should do is we should wrap this up, make our casting an extra.
Yeah. That's probably a good idea.
I am blank right now.
Yeah, it's okay. We won't keep the listeners waiting any longer. So
yeah, I know. That was horrible.
Any closing thoughts on Artemis Fowl though? Before we wrap this up,
it's fantastic. Snarkiness, fantasy, Irish people, fart jokes. It is amazing. I recommend the books so much.
Well, there you have it, guys. I think we can wrap it up on that high note.
It has my approval.
Books, 10 out of 10. Movie, avoid it like the plague.
Yes.
Definitely avoid it like the plague. Unless you're a fan of watching bad films.
Telemarketers avoid this movie.
And on that note, that has been this episode of General Geekery. Thank you guys so much for listening in and listening to us talk about the Artemis Fowl series. The good in terms of the books and the bad in terms of the Disney film. Disney, why must you destroy everything?
Disney!
Why must you destroy? But anyway, moving on in that. Please don't screw up Star Wars, Disney. I'm begging you. Anyway, if you guys like what you've been listening to on here, make sure to follow us wherever podcasts can be found. We are on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you guys don't have access to any of those streaming services, you can check out every single episode on my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That is youtube.com/Anime Rev Productions. And if you guys want to keep up to date with us on social media, you can check us out on Instagram at General Geekery and on Twitter and Facebook at Gen Geek Podcast. And if you guys want to support the show and support what we do on here, as well as other projects, including Inepticon, extra content, all that, please consider pledging to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery. I recently just did a post on there ranking every single Star Wars film for episodes 1 through episodes 9 from worst to best, in my personal opinion. And we have a bunch of other extra content on there as well. Shout out to our patrons, Brittany Hout and Andrew Kelly, for your continued support. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm trying to make it worthwhile for you.
Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/loadeddiceadventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue. It's always a good day when I get to shoot me a zombie.
Yes.
And you can also follow me on Instagram at Python Legume. You can see some of my artwork. You can see some of my random ramblings and pictures of my cat.
Petra is a good cat.
Petra is a good cat?
Oh, strike that. Kefka's good. I was
Kefka is my cat.
I'm gonna drown my face into my coffee cup now.
You've if there was a way for you to go, it would be drowning in coffee.
Yeah, that somehow, some way.
Some way. If it can be done, it will.
Make it so. And you guys can check me out on my various different places, Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. And you can also check me out on Twitch at RyuzakiMK7 as well. I do a majority of different games. Most of them are RPG-based, but I've been including a lot more random overall zaniness. This past Friday, I've been starting up a Rando Friday thing where I play a random game on Fridays. I played Super Mario 64 this past Friday at the time of recording of this, and probably going to be maybe doing some Resident Evil this upcoming Friday. Who knows? And I always enjoy interacting with my chat room, as they love to bully me, lovingly bully me, but they bully me.
It's so easy.
I know. I hate that I make it so easy for you guys.
So easy to do.
But it's always a lot of fun, and I always enjoy it. Much love is always welcome. So if you guys want to join in the fun, twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7. This has been episode 79 of the General Geekery Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski. And actually, wait, Hannah, do you want to take this one out?
I don't have anything to say that I planned, really, but Darvit.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
For Donald Kaczynski, I'm Hannah Kubiak. And always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink. Actual mugs this time.
Indeed.
Actual coffee mugs.
Well, we are in studio, so that actually does help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.